if you've been struggling to increase your brand, then in this episode, we're going to cover two main areas for you to look at.
Gladiator in this art of war. What you think that I've been fighting for? Got a cape on like a superhero. They rushing at me like a matador. Nah, I don't need your energy. I don't need the negativity. I'm just trying to bring my people up. Promise y'all I got the remedy. Straight to the roof, tell them we bringing the troops. We got a little surprise, you thinking that we need the truth. We give it 120, we never make an excuse. So go run and tell everybody down that we coming for you.
Let's talk about the brand first off. So most people think of a brand as their company, but I want to break it into two main areas. So you've got your company brand on one side and you've got your personal brand on the other side. And too often people don't pay attention to their personal brand. Your personal brand does matter because in an ideal situation, it's not my name is Joe and I work at this company. It's my name's Joe. And then people are like, oh yeah, you do all those things. So whether it's videos, articles, funny memes, things like that, everything under the sun that makes you you and makes you stand out, that is extremely valuable, not only to you in the future and you right now with potential opportunities. And then if you do want, let's say that the company you're working for is not the right vehicle for you. And if you want to make a change down the road, you've got a bigger opportunity to do it if you've got your own personal brand, because people are going to want to pay for that attention. So if you just always associate yourself with the company, then that's what people are going to perceive. Your personal brand is very important. It can make you a significant amount of money and open doors down the road. So from a company brand standpoint, depending on what vertical and what sector you're in, like who the competitors are, right? You know who your main competitors are. And I always break it down into two areas. One, it's your competition from a search standpoint. So who are you competing with on search when people search for your services or your product? And then the other one's going to be, who do you compete with on a daily basis for business, for RFQs or RFPs or purchase orders or things like that? Who do you compete with? A lot of times they're not the same. Look at those competitors and audit them and see what are they doing right now and how can you stand out from that? I guarantee you that most companies are not doing what we're going to cover and not doing the things that we do for our clients. Every strategy that we put in place, every tactic that we use is not just, in the beginning, it may be like, hey, let's try this out and see if it works, but everything's backed on data and it's not just some off the wall theory. And these are two main areas that we want to talk about today. So the first area is going to be looking at consistent content. So most of your competitors probably are not producing any sort of consistent content on a daily, weekly basis, either because they don't have the resources internally or because they're not partnering with an agency like MFG Tribe that knows the market and knows what should you create. Just look at the persona of who you're going after. They've got the internal noise of their emails, their internal meetings, their bosses, if they're purchasing their cost reduction opportunities and budgets and things like that. They've got all this noise that's surrounding them. So how can you find your way in there and just get a glimpse of their attention? And the only way to do it is not going to be with an email in an email marketing campaign. It's going to be putting a piece of content that is relevant in front of their face and doing it on a consistent basis. Consistency is key. Doing it once or twice and then falling off the face of the earth and coming back is usually what kills brands. And a lot of times the upper management and managers will say, well, we tried that and it didn't work. But did you really try it consistently? So let's break this into two areas. So one of the areas is going to be any sort of written content. It doesn't have to necessarily be an article, but articles, case studies, white papers, you can call an article a blog, depending on the platform that you're on, but any sort of written content. The opposite side of that is going to be any sort of video content. Like, as you know, the way things are in 2021 and will continue to evolve, video is more effective when it comes to getting engagement from people. You can show somebody a 60-second video and it could do way better performance-wise than a 1,500 or 2,000 word article. But you have to do both. We've got a client that their number one and two, I think maybe even the third top landed on pages of their website are articles that they've written 2 years ago. I mean, they're getting thousands of views just from that article that they wrote 2 to 3 years ago because it was so good. It was valuable. It was a well thought out article. It solved a problem that was out there. I mean, that's a significant amount of traffic. Numerous studies they've done show that blog posts, articles that are top ranking in the top 1 and 2 positions have a minimum or an average of 1,800 words. Now, from an industrial standpoint, it's less competitive because there are less industrial companies creating written content consistently. So we always look at it from 1,000-word standpoint, and you need to do it consistently, and consistently meaning 2 to 4 times a month. And that may be a ton for you guys sitting there like, how am I going to possibly do that? Go find an agency to do it for you if you don't have the resources. We write at MFG Tribe about 300 articles a year for our clients. This stuff works. People want to read. It gives you a piece of content to share out there. It improves organic SEO, and it sets your brand apart. So when you look at those competitors, go to their news section, go to their blog section, go to their articles and see, are they creating content? And most likely it's not going to be consistent. That's one way to stand out. The second way is going to be with video. And it doesn't have to be always fancy videos done by an agency, done by a production house. It could be simple, depending on the intent and the purpose behind it. If you're just posting on social, if you're just gonna share it out like that or post it on your website as a background, it doesn't have to be, it's a different type of creative. But if you're trying to drive traffic from it and trying to show that you're a subject matter expert, then it should be a little bit more polished. You should work with a company like ours, and we can do all that for you. It's either going to provide a significant amount of value to the potential customer, or it's going to make Google happy. Now, ideally, it does both, right? Ideally, there's a lot of search volume, and by a lot in industrial and manufacturing, you're talking 500, 700 searches a month. That's a lot. So you're getting 500, 700 searches a month for this search phrase that can be an article, and then plus it provides tremendous value to your potential customers. That's kind of like the golden goose. It doesn't always happen like that, but it just has to check one of those 2 boxes. And once you look at it from that standpoint and really break down everything that it is that you do in every different area, in different industries, and different solutions and all that, you can easily come up with 50 to 100 topics very quickly if you diligently work through it. But that key is going to be creating the content. You have to have a content marketing strategy. If you don't have the resources, work with an agency. If you don't have the buy-in from management, show them data from Google Analytics showing that the traffic is decreasing or that your competition is doing something different. Typically, when you show something like that to upper management, they may say, okay, we need to consider it. And then work with an agency that knows the market, knows the industry, that can put some meat behind it with data showing you that, yes, this does work. So that's going to be the first areas to look at, is the consistent content. The next area is going to be LinkedIn. And for a lot of you watching this either on replay or watching it live, you're on LinkedIn right now. The reason why you're on LinkedIn and why you're in this live is because we did something that caught your attention for you to come to it. A lot of companies, whether they're big or small, are not really engaging. They're not creating consistent content. They're not creating the right content. You can go to my video about the weekly strategy for LinkedIn, where I break down exactly what you should post. Create something in the first step, written or video, and you want to distribute it on platforms where it could potentially go in front of your audience that you're trying to go after. This is the fastest way to get a hold of them. You can try calling them, you can try email marketing to them, but you've got blocks and people aren't in the office and all that stuff. Looking at your competitors, if they aren't doing that, then this is your way to increase your brand awareness. But you have to start right now. And then when you say that your company is going to go on LinkedIn Live, have them all share it out and see what type of numbers you get back in. And even if you're doing lives 2 times a month, once every 2 weeks, it's a way for you to do something different. And that's what this is all about. Do something different to make you stand out. You don't have to be first. You don't even have to be best. You just have to be consistent and present. You cannot wait until the new year. You cannot wait until the start of Q2. You can't wait for all these people to send approvals. You have to do it now, because in industrial, in manufacturing, timing is everything. If you're relevant today, you might not be relevant tomorrow. It all depends on what you're trying to go after, who you're selling to. Tomorrow they may not have a need. There's opportunities missed every single day in this industry. I went through it for 15 years. I still go through it on a daily basis. There's companies right now that are Google searching Chicago, New York, North Carolina, marketing agency. We're not showing up because we're not there, because they're not searching for us. So how do we get in front of people? We go on the offense. And we let them know about what it is that we do. And that's what you have to do. And you don't have to do it in a sales way. You don't have to do direct selling. You just have to do it from everything's about building the brand and building the brand awareness. And that has to be your main focus to really grow. Is it has to be based on something. You can create infographics and brandographics and things like that. You can do webinars, stuff like that. I would replace webinars with LinkedIn Lives, because you can get more interaction. You can share it out through a platform that's already got the network there. You don't have to send it through email marketing. But you have to focus on, what should I do today, and what's my strategy going to be for 3 weeks from now, when the year changes over, what are you going to be doing different? Because most likely what you've been doing isn't working as well as you hoped for, especially with the way that things have been going with COVID. So if you guys got value out of this, I'm going to wrap things up. If you got value out of it, then share it with anybody that you know. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, please. Turn on notifications, like everything, share everything. It helps us out, and we will see you on the next one.